Hello, everyone. This is Back Log Banter. Today, we're going to be talking about Grounded, the latest from Obsidian Games, the creators of Outer Worlds and Fallout New Vegas, making a game that is nothing at all like the other games that they've made. Grounded is a survival action story-based multiplayer game where you're really tiny and you got to survive with bugs and all sorts of crazy stuff. And I have played a good amount of this game in the sort of beta. I don't know what they're calling it, the Game Pass beta that they have. And it's been a lot of fun. I've played some single player. I've played some multiplayer. I've essentially played all the content that the beta has, and I'm prepared to talk about it.
Now, here's where this discussion gets a little bit interesting, ladies and gentlemen. I have not played even one moment of Grounded. Actually, prior to the Xbox showcase, I basically didn't know this game existed. Here's the rub,
Same here.
if you will. I really like what Obsidian did with the Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds is one of my favorite games. The past number of years, I think it's my favorite open world game since Breath of the Wild. It's certainly my favorite Western RPG. I really, really love that game. So today, possibly, just maybe, Tucker is going to sell me on the prospect of playing Grounded. Maybe he won't. So today, folks, I'm going to ask him some questions. He's going to answer my queries. And at the end, I will let you know if I will play Grounded or not. Spoiler alert, it's downloaded on my computer, but that means very little. Because I've got fucking Halo 3 installed also, and I want to play Halo 3.
Yeah.
And I'm taking apart my GBA so I can play fucking Pokemon Sapphire. The point is I'm busy. I'm a busy boy, a busy bitch. All right? So today, Tucker is going to try to alter my schedule. So Tucker, the first thing I want to know, is Grounded at all a Western RPG?
Well, here's the thing. It starts off survival, and there are RPG elements that get included once you've progressed a certain way into the story. And that is basically where the beta stops, when you unlock the RPG-based content where you... okay, so essentially, let me give you the premise, all right? So you wake up as a 1.5 inch tall teenager, and you're like, what the hell happened? Yes, hello.
I've got two questions. If I have seen the film Antz and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, am I mentally and physically prepared to play this game?
I think those might help you, yes.
Okay. Continue.
So first off, there are 4 different characters you can choose from, all of which are fully voice acted. They react to things that are happening in the environment. They communicate if you're playing multiplayer, which is very charming and very cool. The writing is pretty good. Because it's a beta, they don't have a ton of dialogue, so they end up repeating themselves, but that's something I expect to be fixed in the final game. And these 4 characters whose names are Max, Hoops, Willow, and Sam, maybe the last one. Oh no, Pete.
You could say any 4 names and I believe you.
No, but I named the actual ones there.
Okay.
They all have different personalities. They all react differently to the fact that they have shrunk down, which I think is very cool, and it's a different aspect of the game because you don't really get survival games that have characters in them. So I find that pretty interesting.
So is it story driven?
I think it will be when the final game comes out. The cool thing about it is that you don't have to do the story content. You can just go off and explore and build your own stuff without even interacting with the story content. Admittedly, which is relatively limited in the beta that we've played. But after a while, you find a very small lab that is in the base of an oak tree, and there's a little robot in it that you fix up. His name is Burgle, and he's the guy who gives you quests. He gives you, which can be traded in for points that can be spent on other things. He gives you access to a bunch of lore bits, and he can be upgraded through tapes that you can find throughout the world, which is pretty cool. And his quest system gives you notes that say, go to this area of the map and build something there and stuff like that. And he gives you things that help you explore the world and progress through the game and also earn points, which I think is a very cool system. And it gives you a reason to want to go to different areas of the map, even if they might be sort of out of your skill level if you're too weak. But a lot of this game is focused around survival aspects. You have, much like Ark or Minecraft or Don't Starve or all those survival games that have sort of plagued the video game world. You can pick up pebbles, you can pick up grass sprigs and stuff, You analyze these bits in tiny little science huts, and you unlock the ability to craft certain things. And the crafting system in this game is actually pretty unique and interesting in the fact that you can place down blueprints of things that you want to build, like walls, campfires, whatever, and you can fill them up with your ingredients as you go. So you don't have to build them all at once. There also is another interesting aspect to the fact that once you get an axe, you chop down grass, like blades of grass, they tower above your head. You chop down these blades of grass, they fall over in a realistic fashion and break into planks, essentially, which you pick up and you carry on your shoulder. And they're long, it looks ridiculous, but it's cartoony and funny, and I really enjoyed that. And those planks cannot be held in your inventory. They have to be out in the world. So that the interesting thing that they've done is they created a building that you can make, or a craftable that you can make, that is a platform that sits out in the world that you can stack them on, so it's nice and neat. And it gives the world a little bit of a sense of realism that other survival games don't have. So you can't just store a ton of wood in a chest. It's too big for that. You have to have it out in the world in order to prepare to build things, which I think is very cool. Another survival aspect of this game is the stamina meter, the health, and then the food and the water system, which aren't as integral as some other survival games where you have to really worry about your food and hunger. The food is pretty self-explanatory. You can eat mushrooms, you can kill bugs to get their meat and eat that. You can cook the stuff for it to give you more hunger. But the water system is pretty interesting in the fact that it has to be clean water. So you can't drink from puddles, which they're dirty and it'll injure your hunger bar. So in order to get water, you either have to create a dewdrop collector, which is harder to get, and it's something we have to get a little bit later in the game. But other than that, water can be found in the form of dewdrops hanging from grass blades, which you hit the bottom of the grass and it falls down. It rolls in a realistic fashion. You have to walk over and slurp it up, which is very cool, a very cool mechanic and something I enjoyed a lot. It's very, very creative. You can also refill your water meter by finding a giant juice box, which drips juice drops occasionally. And you can go over and slurp those up, which I really enjoyed. I've got other topics to talk about, but I just want to give you a chance to throw me any questions about the survival aspects of this game.
Okay, here's a question for you. I don't like survival games. I think that they're too focused on formula and resource collection to really allow for like a gameplay loop that I find compelling instead of just gathering things. I'm not a gatherer. Do you think that this is compelling as a survival game in the way that other games aren't? Are those RPG elements heavy enough to pull me through if I don't connect with survival?
Well, the thing is that this is hard to comment on because we're only in the beta right now, and it's just essentially the story stuff you can run through in about 35 minutes if you want to. I think in the full game, it's hard to say because there clearly is a lot of story and RPG elements that they have not released yet. But I also think that as the game grows and becomes larger, they're going to focus more on the survival aspects of this game because that's the genre of game that it's in. I think that eventually in the game, while you can do some RPG elements, you can finish some quests, you'll have to eventually build a base and craft some things in order to probably progress the story. So I do think that there's going to be a balance that you yourself will have to inquire about when the full game releases. But that is something to think about. It might not be your kind of game.
So you can play multiplayer, right? So is this the sort of survival game that's more focused on multiplayer? So this is like a sandbox Minecraft. Is Minecraft a pretty apt comparison to this game? In terms of larger system, not like fucking, oh, I got a fucking meat bar and here's a sheep I can shear, but like on a meta level, is that the kind of experience I'm getting into with Grounded?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say that it's a lot less focused on building than Minecraft is. Building is a lot easier in Minecraft. That's obviously a core mechanic of the game. You're putting down and breaking blocks left and right. You can't terraform in this game. You can't like dig up the dirt. The world is set as it is, and grass blades exist in the world. Once you chop them down, I think they can grow back. I don't know. I don't think I've played in the game long enough to know. But I would say that there are elements that it shares, but it's different enough of a game from Minecraft that I don't think that's a necessarily fair comparison.
So I know you've played a lot of these games, and of course, New Horizons earlier this year. It seems like it has some shared DNA. What compels you to play this above these other titles that you're more established with?
The thing about Grounded is the fact that it is small, like you are small in it, and everything is a lot larger around you because of that. Seems like a gimmick, but it works so much in terms of the game's design and its unique mechanics that I think it actually sets it apart. It might just seem like, oh, the grass blades are just trees, or that the bugs are just other enemies. But there is something to consider when you are that small, and in terms of crafting different things from materials that are, everyday objects in our world, and using like a baseball or a juice box in the world as a monument. That it makes it different enough that it's compelling to play. And especially the fact that the world is designed. This is not a randomly generated world. You don't get a different set of circumstances to explore every time you set up the game. You can learn the map. The locations will be in the same locations every time, and that definitely gives it a different feel. In some ways, it's a lot like Ark Survival Evolved, which does have the same island every time, although that one is clearly a lot bigger. The other thing is that the character elements and story and backstory and things like that are a lot more integral to this game than any of those other games ever have been. So I do think it's compelling enough for me to want to play the full game when it releases on Game Pass, because it's coming to Game Pass, to at least play the story content. And if the game is large enough and they've added enough in the full game for me to want to have a server with my friends and continue to build my base, then I can find myself playing this for a good amount.
So what don't you like about
it? Well, here's the thing. My negatives of this game come not from its design, not from its visuals, which, by the way, I think are fantastic, or any of those objective aspects of the game. It is the fact that I have been playing the beta. I've been playing the early access. And because of that, and Obsidian is admitting and they're accepting comments on the fact that this game does have a good amount, or the beta at least, does have a good amount of bugs. And not in the term of fucking spiders and ants in the world, which people have made that joke way too many fucking times on Twitter comments. But that spiders can get stuck in things and glitch out, and you can easily cheese it. Or you can get clipped into building things. Things will interact weirdly. The physics have not been completely ironed out. But that's all things that, from a studio like Obsidian that is known for games that aren't, or that are high quality, I don't believe those will be in the final product. So I find that hard to critique the game overall, because I don't believe that those issues that I have will be in the game once it fully comes out. But they are problems with the experience that I've had so far. I've had times where a spider was attacking our base, because bugs can actually destroy your structures. You have to build like lures to keep them away, or traps to stop them from reaching your base, which is a pretty cool mechanic. But I had a time where I was building a base with my friend, and a spider came up because we built in a bad place where there was a spider nest that we didn't realize was very close to us. And a spider came and attacked us during the night, and it started destroying some of our structures, but not all of them. And it got stuck in something, and we were able to like just run away and shoot it, and it got like caught and it was glitching out. And there's no way that kind of thing sticks around for a fully released game that is from a first-party Xbox studio. I mean, there's really no way. But it is unfortunate that I had to experience those through the beta, because they definitely didn't have to be in there if they had just kept the game baking for a little longer. But it's something that I do have to bring up. If you or anyone watching this wants to play the Grounded beta.
Well, what else do you want to tell me about Grounded? What am I missing? What's the fucking secret sauce to Grounded that I haven't even asked you about yet?
I don't know. I think I haven't really talked about the game's visual quality, audio design, all that. I do think that there is something to that is a lot better than a lot of the contemporaries around it. Minecraft obviously has its own thing. You brought up New Horizons, which is not an apt comparison at all, in my opinion. But which are games that do have their own visual style. But when it comes to games that are in this genre, when you take Ark or something like that, or Rust, they usually pull an Unreal Engine sort of default semi-realistic style that can get repetitive. And this game's visual style in itself, it looks like a Pixar movie that comparison has been made a fucking gazillion times in cartoony games like Wind Waker. But this game has a glow to it when you're playing it. If you look up into the grass blades that are towering above you, you can see the light shining through the grass blades and sort of diffusing. And it's a very soft and colorful design that I think looks really, really good and sets it pretty far apart from all the other games in the genre. And also the audio design is really good. All of the enemies make their own unique noises that you can learn to know their walking patterns or their chirps to know if they're communicating, which is really cool. And it's also a really interesting ambient sound to get sort of, instead of normal forest noises, you get the small scale forest noises that are just big around you. And listening at nighttime to crickets that are off in the distance and making relatively loud noises because you're so small, or the hum of a garden light, or the wind rustling through grass instead of through the trees. It's all pretty different and gave it a really nice ambiance that I enjoyed a lot. But I don't really know if there's much I can talk about aside from that. It has a really cool soundtrack that's kind of like electronic and poppy. It's pretty fun. Anything else you want to ask me?
How are babies made?
That we should save for another video. And maybe,
well, if you don't have an answer to that, I suppose that's really all I need to know about Grounded.
It's a fun game. I would love to give it a try. Oh, I didn't even talk about the fucking multiplayer. The multiplayer, I don't know how that slipped my mind. My first few experiences with the game entirely were in multiplayer. The multiplayer in this game is very easy to do. It's a little bit glitchy occasionally. I had a couple crashes because it is the beta. But all you do is create a multiplayer world, and then anyone on your friends list can immediately join. It's very easy to do. It's very easy to pop in and pop out. The characters interacting gives the multiplayer an entirely new feel. It's definitely fun to communicate with your friends and say, okay, you go get that while I go over there and collect this resource, or tag teaming enemies and distracting them and stuff like that. I think the multiplayer is a lot of fun, and I had a good time with it. I played with 3 different people, and it was a good time.
That's very good to know.
But that's about it. I would love to pop into a multiplayer world and show you the ropes, because there is a lot of mechanical depth to learning its crafting systems and upgrade systems and all that, which I think take an eye of experience, because it was a little bit difficult to figure out at first, but once you get a hang of it, it's really quite simple. But if you ever want to do that, you just hit me up. I'm your man. Yeah, that's about it. It's a good time, good game. I can't wait for the final release.
I guess that leads to the essential question posed by the beginning of the video. Am I gonna try Grounded? No. Now here's the problem.
Damn.
Here's the problem, right? I love Obsidian. But I came into this discussion feeling a little bit jaded because the survival genre just isn't my thing. What I'm hearing from you is that it seems to be a very compelling and different take. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to hang around and wait for that full release. And when that full release happens, when it's out on Game Pass, then, by the time we'll probably both have Series X's, we can fucking hop in like that. For me, I think that's going to be a compelling point to jump on. In this early access state, I think I'm going to leave it to the fucking bug maniacs like you. You got 2 tarantulas on the other side of that lens there.
I do, yeah.
So, I don't know. I think this is one that's good to have in Microsoft's stable of IP, because I think it gives them something different. Mm-hmm. And it's cool to see Obsidian branching out from just fucking shitting down Bethesda's throat by making better versions of their own games. So it's cool to see them do this. And I like the concept. But I think just right now in early access, I'm going to give it one of those passes. But when all that RPG stuff is in there, when the bugs are ironed out and stuff, mm-hmm. You can hop in, mess about, So kind of where I'm sitting. I mean, I'm sitting in my chair, but otherwise, in terms of Grounded, I think that's what I'm feeling.
I'm sitting way over here, but I am sitting on the throne of Grounded is a good game and should be talked about more. It was the second, I think, most or third most streamed thing on Twitch for a couple days. It passed League of Legends, it passed Dota, it passed Counter-Strike, Smash, all those things. The only thing above it was Fortnite, which makes sense, and just the general talking. I don't know what they call it. I don't watch Twitch very much. But I think it's a game that people will be excited for. I think it needs this beta sort of build buzz and pun intended. and get the community talking about it and build a group that is excited for the final release when it does come out, because it is sort of an interesting and new thing from Microsoft, who sort of has been stuck in their rut of just the same genres over and over. So I think it's good to see from them, and I'm excited to see what comes of it, because it could be a game that receives post-launch content and could continue building a community for a while.
Do you think that, considering I played an extensive amount of the B-movie licensed tie-in game on PS2, I'm well equipped to play Grounded?
Yeah, I think you might not even need to play Grounded.
That's kind of how I'm feeling right now.
That's basically Grounded already, so that's too bad. You should have waited for Grounded.
Yeah, I guess I should have. I guess fucking 4-year-old me shouldn't have gotten that game as a gift.
Okay, well, I think that about wraps it up for this video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I just hit my
Bye.
desk. I hope you didn't hear that. See.
I'll hit mine too.
All right.
Tied. Let's stop that.
Yeah.